G'day, Year 9. Today we're doing a bit of a revision of congruent triangles. You would have done this last year, but we're going to go through it again. Congruency is just when a shape is equal to another shape in every way. So a congruent triangle has equal sides and equal angles with this other triangle. Not to say all of its angles are equal. It's not necessarily equilateral, but what it does mean is that there's a matching side or a corresponding side with each shape and corresponding angle as well. Okay, so we can prove that a triangle is congruency. We only actually need 3 pieces of evidence, and that is sufficient. So to prove that the entire thing is equal, we need to prove that 3 things are equal. Okay, now the combination of which 3 things matters. There are 4 combinations that we can use. Okay, we can use SSS, which means if we can show that there are 3 equal sides between each of the 2 triangles, then they're congruent. If we can show that there are 2 equal sides and the included angle, that is the angle in between those sides, is equal, then they're also congruent. If there are 2 equal angles and an equal side, and the angles are in the same relative positions, then we know they're equal. And then if there is a right angle and the hypotenuse and one of the short sides is equal, then we know that it is congruent as well. Now, the important thing to note is that for a right angle triangle, okay, the right angle is not going to be the included angle between the hypotenuse and the side. Remember, because the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. So this is distinct from SAS. Okay, it's not the included angle, but it has to be a right angle for this to be true. Okay, so let's just do these first questions and state which congruity test would we use to show that they're congruent. So when we're trying to do congruency tests, we need to sort of scan and look for what information we have. How many sides do we have that are equal? How many angles, etc. So in this first one, we can see that there are 3 equal sides, so we're going to have to use SSS. We don't have any information about the angles yet, so we use that test. For this one, we have 2 equal angles and an equal side, and we can see that both times the 6 is opposite the 45-degree angle, so we know that we can use AAS because the angles are in the same relative positions. For C, we have 2 sides and the included angle equal, so it's going to be SAS. And then for D, we have a right angle, the hypotenuse, and another side, so it's going to be RHS. Okay, great stuff. Now, moving on, state why the following pairs of triangles are not congruent. So this is sort of testing whether we understand the conditions for each of these tests that we've just done. So for A, okay, the way that I would answer this question is I would say the angle is not the included angle in both. Okay, so in the original one, we have the included angle is 65 degrees, but then 65 degrees is not the included angle for the second triangle. So it's in a different position. There are lots of ways you could phrase that. So you could say the angle of 65 degrees is not in the same relative position in both triangles, or what? That's also valid. So for this one, we could say that the side is not in the same relative position. Now we should add, it is possible that these are congruent triangles. We just don't know enough information. Okay, if the other side was also 7 degrees, then, you know, potentially that could still be 7 centimeters, potentially could be congruent, but we just don't know. And then finally, okay, equiangular, that is, that they have all equal angles. Equiangular is not sufficient for proving congruency. Okay, so again, it could be congruent. We just don't know enough about the sides to know whether they are congruent. We're going to learn later that these are similar triangles, at least, but they could be congruent. We just don't know. All right. Not for civic. That says for proving congruency. Proving. My handwriting is not particularly great on the screen. Okay. State why the following pairs of triangles are congruent and find the values. So, if we can prove that two triangles are congruent, we can use that fact to find missing sides in one of those triangles, because we just need to compare it to the relative side of the other triangle. Okay, and the same works for the angles as well. So what this question is asking is, first, which test would you use to prove that it's congruent? And then, given the fact it's congruent, you can then find the missing values by comparing their relative positions. So for A, we're going to look at what information do we know and what information do we not know yet. So we know all the angles in the first triangle, but we don't know any of the angles in the second one. So we can't use that fact. But we do know that we have three pairs of matching sides. So we're going to use SSS, okay, to say that they are congruent. And then I can use the angle that's opposite the single dash is Y. So Y is going to be 65 degrees. The angle that's opposite the triple dash will be 55. Okay. So that means X equals 55 degrees. And therefore, Z is going to be 60 degrees as well. So once we know that they're congruent, we just got to look at the relative positions of the angles with the sides. And you got to look for opposite angles and sides matching. Okay, so we can see we sort of have this relationship going on between the sides and angles. Okay, opposite just means they're across from each other. They look open to each other. Okay, for B, I've got to look at what information I know. I know that we have an equal angle and then two equal sides, and it's the included angle. So we're going to use SAS, sorry. And now I can find out the missing side. Okay, so X is going to be 27 centimeters. We know that Y is opposite single dash, so that's going to be the 58-degree one. And then Z is opposite double dash, so that's going to be 63 degrees. Finally, for C, we have two equal angles and the side in the same position, so we can use AAS. And then we've got to find the X. The side is opposite the angle X, which helps. So X equals 10 centimeters. Y is opposite the dot angle, so Y equals 13 centimeters. And then the angle that we're missing is 46 centimeters, 46 degrees, sorry. So that's how we can find those missing pieces of information. Okay, awesome. Hope this helps. Good luck with the work today. See you later.